Boys, it's been a while since I've made a video, which is, I think, a year to be exact. You want to be better at racing games. So let's talk about the important parts of the subject without wasting too much time. Most of the time I play Forza Horizon 5 and since a few weeks Motorfest. But the tips I'm going to give you apply for almost all racing games.
You serious?
Almost. So I'm going to give you a few tips how to improve your skills and also become a better racer. First of all, let's start with the basics. Forza Horizon 5 and Motorfest are arcade racing games. So that means the physics of a game are not realistic.
What?
Do you play on a controller, mouse and keyboard, or do you play on a steering wheel? Driving with a steering wheel is the most difficult option out there, especially for Forza Horizon 5. You can make so many videos about this because in every single racing game, the settings are different, the physics of the game are different, so it feels different on a steering wheel. Also, depending on what type of steering wheel you own. Forza Horizon 5 and Motorfest are racing games that have road races, sprints, off-road races, you can drift in there, so there's a lot of options. That means a lot of settings. It takes quite some time to adjust the settings to your liking and what responds very well with the game. Once you've mastered these skills, it is really fun to drive and play the game like that. If you really want to play Forza and Motorfest as intended by the developers, you just notice that playing on the controller is the easiest way to do this. On a controller, you can be more precise than, for example, a mouse and keyboard where you just have to tap to take a corner, right? All right, first things first, let's go through the settings of Forza Horizon 5 and then for Motorfest. Go to difficulty, start off with Novice, for example, do a few races. If you are winning too easy, just increase the difficulty. So driving assist preset, you're using custom most of the time as you want to have influence on your assists. So for braking, I would say anti-lock on, so that's ABS. Steering, if you're just starting out, you can use assistant, but eventually try to go on standard or even simulation so you get more feeling with the car. Traction control, if you're starting out, leave it on. Once you have a good tune and start to feel comfortable, you can turn one of these off until you're not driving with these assists on. Do keep in mind, if you're running a rear-wheel drive car, it is way more difficult. Shifting, personally, I'm using automatic for races because I'm playing on a controller. If I'm using a steering wheel, then I would set it on manual with clutch. If you're using manual on a controller, for example, you can get better times because you have influence on when to shift and when not. So for driving line, I would say use it on braking only if you're starting out, so you know when you're going too fast at a corner. Damage and tire wear, cosmetic. For rewind, I would say you can leave it on. Launch control, personally, I am not using it at all. So when you go to accessibility, I recommend putting motion blur on short. All right, let's check out the settings in Motorfest. So in game settings, you can turn on replay if you want to. Difficulty, put it on 2 or maybe even 1. As for guidance, turn it on. Racing line, braking only. Auto braking, don't recommend it because you can be a lot slower than when you're driving yourself. Automatic steering, turn it off. So rewind, turn it on if you're making a lot of mistakes. Nitro, it helps you get faster, so turn that one on. Cockpit view, you want to leave this off. This means that you can only drive in cockpit view, so you don't have any other options as you see right here. ABS, always turn it on. Traction control, use it on sports. ESP, also on sports. Drifting assists, put it on sports. Counter steering assist, well, that helps you get the front wheels at the right angle, so turn that one on. This is for the airplane, so you can turn it on, turn it off. whatever you like. Play a little bit with the settings once you get a little bit more comfortable driving around. So, all right. So for accessibility, if you get motion sickness, I would say turn the camera shake off. So at video, I would say go for performance as you prioritize 60 frames per second instead of 30. Gearbox, automatic. Over here, you can also increase or decrease your vibration. Yeah, and that's about it. Gradually, you want to reduce these settings or these assists to help you when you get more comfortable to challenge yourself and improve your skills further. But if you don't use any assists, you can be faster eventually. In my streams, I always say that you need 3 things to win a race in Forza Horizon 5. You need a good car, you need a good tune, and you need a little bit of skill. So the first 2 things you can just look up. There are so many cars in this game and so many ways to tune your car to your liking. You can even make a stock C-Class car, for example, an S1. So the options are endless. Picking a good car can make a lot of difference. Some cars may excel at speed, for example the Koenigsegg, but they are not as good in handling. So you might want to find a good balance between that. Find the car that suits your driving style and also master that one. So here's the problem. Not every car is good in a specific race or a specific class. So you have a car that is good for road races, but not for off-road races. So you need different types of cars. Are you doing a circuit or are you doing a sprint? There's a big difference there. So for every class and for every type of race, you would like to have a different car most of the time. Okay. So it's good that you have a car that can go up to 400 kilometers an hour, but the track only allows you to go 250 kilometers an hour because there are too many corners in the track and you cannot go full throttle. That is a waste. It's better to invest something that has a lower top speed and more handling. If you want some recommendations on cars or on tunes, you can just come into the streams on Monday or Thursday. A good way to check which cars are good is by doing online races and see what the winner is using. So let's say you did an online race, right? The winner won easily. After I bought the exact same car, I tried different tunes to see how fast I could go with that specific car and if I'm getting even close to winning the next round. Every race on the map has leaderboard times on it. I looked in the top 300 just to see what cars are commonly used to go as fast as possible. Buy one of those commonly used cars and try different tunes. That's all I can recommend on this part. So now you need a tune. So tuning a car yourself can be really difficult. When doing a tune, you can experiment with tuning settings like a suspension, tire pressure, gear ratios, aerodynamics, downforce, and that is all to optimize your vehicle's performance, and customizing the car can give you an edge on the competition. So in the beginning, I would recommend to download a tune. I do that myself as well, as I don't like to tune the car. Look out that you're using the correct tune for the correct race you're doing. So not a dirt. That's a lot of talking. I also said you need a little bit of skill, right? So how do you get more skill in this? I got you, homie. So there's a phrase that applies to everything you do in life. Practice makes perfect. That means the more you race, the better you will become. So going full throttle everywhere, ramming into a wall or ramming into other drivers, that is something everyone can do. You need to get a feeling of your car's handling. If you're new in the game, I recommend using all-wheel drive cars, as you won't lose control as fast as, for example, rear-wheel drive cars. The acceleration of an all-wheel drive car is better, but on the other hand, a rear-wheel drive is usually faster, but you can spin out in every corner as it has a lot of power on just 2 wheels instead of 4. So only if you can handle the car right, it is faster. There are over 800 cars in Forza Horizon 5 and there are over 500 cars in Motorfest. Stick to a few good ones that you know that are good until you are better in the game and have more feeling for it. Just a quick tip in between, if your car cannot go fast in corners, use the brake. You brake before a corner, you take the corner with the exact same speed or release throttle, and then speed up when you exit the corner. So you gotta make use of the apex. The apex refers to a point in a corner where the vehicle's trajectory is closest to the inside of the turn. So the third thing you can do is familiarize yourself with the tracks. There are some tracks in the game that I've did hundreds of laps on. This is how you get to the top 1% on the leaderboards of that track. Rivals is a game mode where you can set your lap time into the leaderboards. First, you need to choose a track. You need to choose the class and the opponent you're racing against. Your opponent has set a fastest lap on that track and you want to beat him. This way you can learn from others. Well, you gotta drive behind the ghost to see where he is on the road. When he takes a corner, does he make a mistake? And how can you avoid making the same mistakes he did? For example, to take a corner wider than he is or brake a little bit earlier, you can be a little bit faster in that corner. This also separates a good player with a very good player.
Nice.
Another way how to get better is to practice different race types, including street races, including dirt races, including circuit races, including drifting. Why? Because each type of race requires a different strategy and driving techniques. So what's next? What do I need more? Well, patience.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
What I like to do quite often in online races when I have a good opponent, I stay so close to him so he can hear that I'm right behind him. This will put pressure on him to stay in first position. If people feel pressure, they are going to make mistakes. Once they make that mistake, you can pass them. I think we discussed everything I wanted to say on this topic. Oh, yeah. This one is really important. Have some fun while doing it. So start your engine, practice, be patient, have fun, and you will become a better racer. Man, my mouth is running dry. So to summarize everything we've discussed really short, use the settings you like, get a good car. You know how to do that now. Get a good tune. You also know how to do that and test it. Learn how these cars respond to your driving style. Learn the tracks, understand the racing line, brake and accelerate effectively and efficiently, and to manage your speed. Racing is about controlling your speed and not just to go fast. I did my best to keep it short. If you have any further questions, just let me know in the comments. All right, guys, peace.